Hey there folks, just wanted to show you a little bit about what I've been up to since last time I touched base with you. I just figured I should show you some of what we've added recently. This is software that we develop and use internally. We don't sell this software. So we are basically in the business of receiving images from customers like yourselves and processing them and then returning the data. So I'm going to just do a bit of a run on a data set that I've already run through and classified, but I'm now going to do some of the depth estimation that we talked about and then show you what we've done on the viewshed front. So I'm just going to load up a file. I want to go into here and I'm loading just an empty image. There's no animals in it, there's no data or distance markers or anything like that. It's just a blank image. So there's the image right out of the trail camera. We specifically want nothing in it. This is the depth estimation that we've done on it, and although the depth estimation is accurate from a relative point of view, the numbers are meaningless. They're basically unitless. So we have to tell it where things are with respect to actual measured values. So we've loaded that image. We're now going to bring up another image from the trail camera, and this one has distance markers in it. And I'm going to admit that I've digitally added these. Often I'll actually take it and put the values on a piece of paper and staple them to the tree, especially if I'm out by myself and I just want to get the site set up and ready to go. You can also obviously, take a picture with your cell phone, make notes on those. As long as we get a trail camera image with some indication as to distances to various points. Now, I was kind of lucky on this site because it had lots of natural markers. If you didn't have natural markers, like there's plenty where there's nothing up front, I'll actually just take red solo cups with me in my pack and set them on the ground. And as long as we get a distance to the leading edge of that cup where it touches the ground, that works well. So if you had to add your own markers, then that's fine too. But in this case, we had plenty of natural markers. So I'm just going to tell it that distance right there is 2.91. That distance right there is 2.85. That distance right there is 5.41. Way back there is 26. And it's important that we have a far value, and it's important we have a near value. You want one that's ideally further away than you're ever going to detect animals at, and you want one that's maybe even nearer than you're going to detect animals at. So there's our points, and if we move up here, you can see it's transferred them onto our depth map. So now we've taken all these measured values at all of these points on our depth map, and we're going to calibrate that depth map. So effectively we've just created a curve that takes the raw values of the depth map and we mathematically manipulate them such that now those numbers are all true values in depth. So if I go to a spot here, it tells me it's 4.67 meters. If I go to a spot here, it's 3.18 meters. If I go down here, here's the curve we've plotted. Here's where our points landed. We can have a second order, third order, or linear. I typically stick to second order. It seems to give me what I believe to be the best results. Here's our data points. Here's the coefficients of our formula, and here's our relative accuracy. So now that I have that curve, I can go into the file, and I won't go over the classification process, but basically I classified all these images, found the species inside it, created a CSV file, and I'm going to open that. I'm going to process that. So now it's going to take each of those images. If I show you some of those images, actually if I go to here, so here is a mule deer walking through the scene. So for each image, it's gone and it's taken the bottom line of the bounding box and direct center and said that's the distance to the animal, because it's typically where it's picked up a foot. I'm going to send you another video that talks about how we can fine-tune that even more, but for now it takes the center of the bounding box and says that's the distance to the animal. So we take that same pixel, and it has basically jumped over to this image, found that same pixel, and figured out what the distance is. So I have loaded my results CSV file, and I go like that, and that's as fast or as long as it takes, and it has just ripped through and put all of those results. So here's, it wasn't a huge data set, but so here's all the results. It was a female mule deer, and the last column is depth. So there's the distance to each one of those targets. Just that fast. I will close that, get rid of that, get rid of that, go back to here. So that's for depth estimation to individual targets in every photo. That may be applicable to some of what you do, and it's probably not applicable to some of what you do. What I've taken it a little further, or where I've taken it a little further since talking to you folks, is we can now take a look at the view shed. We take that same depth map that we had before. In this case, I'm going to tell it that our viewing angle is 40 degrees. I can divide it up into as many sectors as I want. I'm going to put 6 sectors in here. You can just see some little white lines in there. You can go as few as 2 sectors or as many as 10, but let's stick with 6 because that's what you guys are used to. We've provided a minimum depth. I'll show you that in a few minutes. But for each sector, now we get a slider bar, and we can slide this down, and we're bringing that distance wall forward. We're going to come into a point where I'm just going to say, okay, anything beyond that I'm not going to count. And I can bring in this sector and stop it about there, and I can bring in this sector, stop it about there, and this sector I'm just going to bring it probably to that tree. There, we're at that tree. This one I'm going to come into about here with, and this one I can come in. See, this is a classic case too. If there's something behind the tree, obviously I'm not going to get it unless it's sticking out from the tree. So do you put that there, or do you bring that, bring that right to the tree? And in this case, I think I'm going to bring it right to the tree. Now, in addition to that, oh shoot, I hit the wrong button. Okay, we're going to redo that real quickly. Okay, so that one was to there, that one was to there, that one was to there, and there, and there. I mean, we can have discussions all day on whether you agree with where I'm setting this or not, but you'll understand the concept of what I'm up to anyways. Okay, then I'm going to bring up the minimum depth, and I'm going to run this up until it just kind of starts moving into the visible area, because you can have something like a bobcat that's going to walk right underneath the camera and you won't see it. So you can't really say that you're measuring to 0 meters, because you can have animals that can literally walk under the camera. So we're just going to go out to this number. This is 3.07 meters. So this area in here now is our view shed, and we've given an area, assigned it to each sector, and here's our total viewing area down the bottom, 24.39 meters, or square meters. We can create a CSV file from that, and if I can load that real quickly, there's all the data. There's our, we have our each sector, our depth threshold for each one, the area of each one, and then this information down here is on the curve and the calibration points that we used on our depth estimation calibration. So there it is. all that from a couple of dimensions that you take in the field. There isn't any huge amount of laborious measurements to individual spots in the ground. We just need to hit a few obvious points, and like I say, I normally wouldn't hit as many as I did in this one, but that's just what I did for here. And we get distance to every animal in every detection, and we get a full viewshed area calculation that's available as well. So let me know your thoughts on that and whether you think that's of interest to you. Again, this isn't software that we sell. This is service that we provide. So we've written this software in-house. We use it in-house. We simply take images from customers, process them, and return them with the data that they generate. So anyways, let me know your thoughts and whether you've got any questions or not. Thank you.